Alright, Be'ezat Hashem, Naaseh, Natzliach. I'd like to welcome you to IRONSIDE Lunch and Learn. This particular lesson is going to be to the Refuah Shelema of Esther Bat Vishna, who is sponsoring this class. A lovely lady who recently got into a situation where she needs our prayers and our divrei Torah to help her out to Refuah Shelema. Also want to mention that this should be also to Ilui Nishmat for the grandmother of Chen Gilmore. This week's parasha is Parashat Vayigash. You know, we're still in the section of Yosef. You know, these are the few parashiyot that Yosef right now. We spoke about it last week. He just went through 12 years of being in jail, 12 years of emunah building. We know that once he got to Egypt, he had 1 year of a test of the Brit, which later on continued to 12 years of being incarcerated, 10 years for Potiphar's wife, and the additional 2 years because he mentioned those 2 extra words to the butler, Zechartani v'Izkartani. And during this entire time while he's in jail, he didn't fall into depression, anger, negative state of mind. He wasn't judgmental, he wasn't angry, he wasn't bitter, he didn't become a loner. He didn't do what typically someone would do when they're faced that type of situation, especially that what preceded that would happen with his family. He had all the reasons to go the other direction, but he didn't. Rather, he accepted his situation, and he was of the opinion that all is from God and all is good. This is exactly what it's supposed to be. And he was able to get elevated spiritually during this time and build his emunah to a very high level. And we know that because as soon as he graduated that emunah lesson with the additional 2 years, Shoat Hashem K'heref Ayin, he was taken out of jail and elevated from a slave, a prisoner, to second in command in the kingdom of Egypt, the viceroy to Paro. And in this darkness, he built his faith. And this is now what's going on with Yosef in the past few parashiyot. On the other side of it, we have Yaakov, his father, who was crushed by the idea that Yosef was gone. He couldn't be consoled for over 20 years. The fact that Yosef left. Ruach HaKodesh left him. The divine presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that rests with sages, with tzaddikim, was no longer with Yaakov. You would say that he was borderline depressed. And the Torah says, Lo itnachem. He didn't want to get consoled. As a matter of fact, all his children came to him. And the Pasuk says, V'yakumu kol banav v'chol bnotav lenachemo v'yimahem nitnachem. All his family, all his children, all his boys, all his girls, all their offsprings. Imagine like this huge family standing in front of him, coming to him, Saba, Abba, trying to cheer him up. He couldn't get his mind off of that one child that was missing. V'lo itnacham. He didn't want to get consoled. Even that he saw like his offspring, and said maybe that'll take his mind off of it. He didn't go for it. Yaakov was distraught. He was depressed because he thought that he failed. Yaakov thought that he failed as a father. He thought that he failed as one of the patriarchs, one of the Av Am Yisrael, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. He says, maybe my mission is Yaakov right now. That's it. It's forfeited. And it's forfeited because the mission of 12 tribes has failed. I am now at 11 tribes. Now, the mission of 12 tribes has been a mission since day one. From the beginning of time, the goal of setting the 12 tribes in motion has been a challenge. It began initially with Adam and Chava. Adam and Chava had Cain and Hevel, two brothers that one already killed the other one. Hashem says, I got two, they're not getting along, I can't bring 10 more. He waited 10 more generations up until Noah. The story with Noah, his own children, Ham and Yafet, were basically castrated him. Because after the world got restarted after the Mabul, what did Ham say? There's Ham, Shet, Vehev, Shem, Ham, Veyafet. There's three. And there's his father. That's four. So Ham says, what am I going to share the world now with more people? I already have my two brothers. That's more than enough. My father, if he has any more children, what is it going to be? He was greedy. So he castrated his father so he wouldn't have any more offspring. When Hashem saw that, he said, 12 tribes are not going to come out of Noah. And it continued another 10 generations to Abraham. Abraham was only able to bring forth Yitzchak and Ishmael. And Yitzchak was supposed to be the one that was going to bring forward the 12 tribes. We remember that Rivka was having a terrible pregnancy with the twins in her belly. Esau was giving her a super hard time. And she complained. And she said, Im ken, lama ze anochi. The rabbis tell us that because she complained that she said, if I knew that this pregnancy was this tough, I wouldn't have gone through with it. Lama ze anochi. They say take the word ze, zayin is 7, and hey is 5, 12. He says he complained about on ze, on the 12. She didn't remember to have the 12 tribes come out of Rivka and Yitzchak. So here comes Yaakov, and he's doing good. He's got 4 wives. He's got 12 children. He's basically about to fulfill the mission. 12 tribes is finally going to come into fruition. However, number 11 is gone. Yosef is gone, and the reason was that he was attacked by a wild beast, by an animal, and he could not accept that as a reality. And the reason why he didn't accept that as a reality, because he started to question himself. He started to question his parenting. He started to question his education of Yosef. He says, Yosef, he's a tzaddik. He's a righteous man. And nothing can harm a tzaddik. We know that. We have a pasuk in Sefer Devarim that says, Ki Shem Hashem nikra alecha v'yira'u mimeka. There's a saying that says that when you're righteous, when you're holy, God's name is on your forehead. And people will fear you, human beings and animals. It's very well known that there are rabbis that walked with lions, that were not scared to go next to wild beasts. Why? Because God's name was on their forehead. And the animals were able to see that. Human beings as well. So they said, surely Yosef was one of those righteous people. We also have the pasuk that says, En tselem Elokim, one who keeps from sin, En tselem Elokim over me'al panav, one who protects himself from any sin. The image of God does not move away from him. In other words, people fear a person who is righteous. It's part of his aura. So Yaakov was baffled by his disappearance and by the bloody coat. He couldn't get it. Because he knows these concepts. And he knows his son. And he knows the situation. When the brothers offered the reasoning of Chaya Ra'a Achaltahu, Yaakov is saying Chaya Ra'a Achaltahu. He's imagining a lion jumping on Yosef, feasting on him, eating him, to the point that there's nothing left but blood and a jacket soaked in blood. It's the only remains of that interaction. However, giving it so much thought, When he said chaya ra'a achaltahu, they say chaya ra'a, a wild beast, a wild animal is only one animal, and that's a lion. So he says a lion, and Aryeh is Yehudah. Who's the Aryeh? Who's the lion? It's Judah. Judah did it. Yehudah did it. And Yaakov blamed the death of Yosef on Yehudah. What I'm about to repeat is an incredible chidush that I read from Rav Yoram Abergel that was very, very interesting. This is a back dialogue that sometimes you're not privy to in the Chumash. You have to go into Midrashim, you have to collect it from this Midrash, from that Midrash, but I put it all together. This is seriously, very, very interesting, and it gives you a whole new light of looking at it. You see, besides losing his favorite son, Yaakov losing the opportunity to accomplish this elusive goal, centuries in the making, this goal of 12 tribes, this ultimate tikkun of the world, something that is necessary. You have to know that the number 12 is very unique. The number 12 is one of those numbers that is used as a formula to this planet. For example, we have the 12 tribes. We have the 12 zodiac signs we were just speaking about. We have the 12 months. We have the 12 names of Hashem that are in each month. We have 12 hours in a day, 12 hours in a night. There's 12 stones to the breastplate. In other words, there's this concept of 12 in the world that is playing out, and one of the major pieces of 12 is having the 12 tribes of Am Yisrael. And this was a major tikkun that Yaakov wanted to accomplish. Being that this is one of the goals, and Yaakov blames Yehudah, what was Yehudah's reaction? He doesn't reply. He does not answer. And Yehudah's reaction is very interesting, actually. See, after being blamed by his father and scorned by his brothers, they're telling him, hey, Yehudah, you're the lineage of the kingdom of Am Yisrael. We listen to you. You're our leader. Otherwise, we wouldn't have gone through with it. Yehudah is devastated and feels like he's ruined it all and needs to start all over. He needs to go through, press a reset button on himself. And in order for him to start fresh, he goes to the original mitzvah, the first mitzvah that every Jew is commanded to do, which is pruvu. He said, let me start from the beginning. So he goes ahead and marries an Isha Kenanit. And the three boys are Er, Onen, and Shiloh. One of his sons, by the name of Er, marries a girl by the name of Tamar. Er, the Midrashim tell us, Lo hitnaheg b'kedusha. Even Rashi mentions it over there. Lo hitnaheg b'kedusha. He didn't act properly. He didn't. His actions weren't proper with his wife and also elsewhere. And as a result of that, he dies. We have the mitzvah of Yibum. Yibum is when somebody passes away. His brother takes on his wife in order to continue the progeny. So, as the first son of Yehudah dies, Yaakov comes into the picture and says, this is the first payback for what you did to Yosef. Yehudah still does not reply. Onen steps up to the plate, marries Tamar, and once again, Onen dies. The second son of Yehudah passes away from this Yibum. Yaakov comes into the picture and says, this is the second payback for what you did to Yosef. Yehudah still does not reply. He reserves himself. 12 months later, Yehudah's own wife passes away. Yaakov comes into the picture and says, this is the third payback for what you did to Yosef. And Yehudah still does not reply to the claims of his father. Out of fear for his third son, he does not give over his third son to Tamar, because now she's like a black widow, like a husband killer. He's worried about his last child. And a few parashiot ago, we have the whole story of Tamar, of how she was so wanting to be part of that family, so wanting to be part of that Kedusha, so wanting to be part of Am Yisrael, that she went and she disguised herself and ended up having relations with Yehudah. And there's the whole story over there where he passed on to her as his cane, his ring, and his tzitzit. And later on, when he went back to see her again, she wasn't found. Later on, word came around that she's pregnant. She's 3 months pregnant. She began to show. So everybody took her to court, and and the decree was that she was supposed to be burnt at the stake. And just as she's about to being sentenced of adultery and sentenced to be burnt at the stake, Yehudah confesses to being the owner of those 3 items that he passed on to her. Yaakov comes into the picture and he says, in the 10 Commandments, there's an order. He says, first it says, Lo tirtzach, do not kill, do not murder. And right after it says, Lo tin'af, do not covet. He says, this is to teach you that first you kill, then you fall in the hands of a woman. You become an adulterer. You killed Yosef, and now you have the story with Tamar. This is your 4th payback for what you did with Yosef. Yehudah still does not reply. Later on in the parasha, as all this is happening, Yosef, in our parasha, in Parashat Vayigash, Yosef requests the presence of Binyamin. He's very adamant about bringing Binyamin to Mitzrayim. It was like the deal breaker. Yaakov turns to Yehudah and tells him, first you kill Yosef, now you want Binyamin too? The fact that he's his only son, the only son left from the wife that he loved, Binyamin was precious in his own right. He wasn't willing to give him up. He's still, trying to deal with the fact that Yosef has been gone all these years. Yehudah still stays quiet and does not respond to this claim. He goes further and takes full responsibility for Binyamin, forsaking his life in this world and in the next. If you remember last week's parasha, Reuven says, take my boys, I'll be responsible for Binyamin. And Yaakov turns him down. I don't want your offer. Your boys are like my boys. What do you tell me? Makes no sense. Yehudah comes on and he says, take my life in this world and my life in the next. He says, okay, this guy is serious. This guy is willing to give up his whole olam haba in order to bring me back Binyamin. I can trust him with Binyamin. And he took Yehudah's offer to take Binyamin and bring him back, or promise, over Reuven. And this week's parasha begins with the encounter of Yosef and Yehudah. The first pasuk says, Vayigash elav Yehudah, Vayomer, Bi Adoni yidaber na avdecha davar beoznei Adoni, ve'al yicharpecha b'avdecha ki chamocha keparo. So Yehudah comes over to, you have to imagine, he's coming closely to Yosef, he's whispering in his ear. He says, listen, don't get upset what I'm about to tell you, but it's going to go one way or the other. You and Paro are the exact same thing for me. It could go one way where everything turns out perfectly okay for everyone, or if it needs to go completely the other direction and have to destroy this city, I will. In other words, he gave him both options. He wasn't playing around. And this was a very, very intense encounter. Why? Because on face value, what you have here, you have two kings. Yehudah is a king. Yosef is a king. Yehudah is the lion, Aryeh, and Yosef is the shor. He's the bull. Midrash Rabbah says that even the angels came to witness this encounter. They're like, look, two kings are meeting downstairs, and they're all lined up just to witness it. Even the brothers, who were giants in their own right. Last year we spoke about how they were like practically superheroes. When it came to the encounter of Yehudah and Yosef, they said, "Shistadru benehem." Let them figure things out for themselves. They took a back seat. Now, the famous midrash is that Yehudah had 5 layers of clothes, and he had 2 hairs that pierced through the clothing and armor. And you say to yourself, what kind of chest hair does he have? Or how is it possible that something like that can happen? But on a deeper level, he had 5 layers. What's the 5 layers that a human being has on him? The 5 senses. The layer of vision, the layer of touch, the layer of smell, the layer of all his emotions and senses he was breaking through all this. In other words, everything that he was dealing with, he was breaking through it in this moment right now. It was a very, very intense moment. He was steaming mad. Kamocha keparo. You and the king of this whole city are all going down if I don't get my brother back. And Yehudah claims, Yosef, you started all this. You're the one who started this whole story that we're going through right now. First, out of the millions of people that have walked through these streets, you choose my family and you call us meraglim, spies. Why? Secondly, you accuse us again that we came that we came here to spy on the land or take a look at it or come to benefit in something other than what most people come to at this time, which is just to break bread. Your third claim, Gavia Genavuka, that we stole the goblet, the special goblet that belonged to you. You're the one who put all these situations in us. We never did it. We came back, we brought back the money. We told you that we came with more money to pay, and not only that, we told you that we never even stole it. We were framed. And if it goes further to say, Yehudah says, and if I take my sword out of my sheath, all Mitzrayim is dead. Yosef wasn't a pushover. He tells him, if you take your sword out of your sheath, then I will bend it over your neck. He says, well, if I open my mouth, I will swallow all of you. We know that Yehudah had a special gift. He had the roar. There's a special midrash that Ma'am Loez mentions that at that point he roared so loud that the nose of the Sphinx that's in Egypt right now, that's how it fell off. The midrash continues to say that Hushim ben Dan had a son who was deaf, who was in Canaan, that when Yehudah roared, he felt it over there. Felt it, not heard it because he's deaf. Felt it over there. Could you imagine? All of Egypt now is in tune to what's going on over here. They're hearing things, they're sensing the tension. Yosef, again, is not a pushover. He says, if you open up your mouth, I'm going to take a big boulder and put a rock. I'm going to take a big boulder and put it in it. So, they're going back and forth, and each one is shocking the other. Yehudah is surprised that Yosef is even standing up to him. Yehudah sees that it's starting to get escalated. He takes Naphtali, that's the brother that runs swift like a deer, and he sends him to go quickly to check out all the gates of Mitzrayim. Now, if you know that Mitzrayim was a type of city that there were different gates that people think that can come in from. If you remember when they first went in, they all went in from a different gate. So Naphtali quickly went and came back. It was very, very quick. And he told them how many gates would be over there. Yehudah says, okay, each one of you take a gate, I'll take the ones that are left over. In other words, if they're like 10 brothers, they'll each take one, and whatever gates, 3, 4, 5, 10 gates that are left over, Yehudah will take care of on his own. So Yosef sees that they decided to destroy Egypt. He says this has gone far enough, because we know that Yosef knew that they're his brothers, they just didn't know. And he just wanted to test them to see if they're going to protect Binyamin the way that they didn't protect him. Midah keneged midah. In other words, look, he wanted to see, okay, I like the fact that they're protecting Binyamin like this, because this is the teshuvah for not protecting me that way. This is midah keneged midah. And Yosef throws him a curveball. Tells them, but what will you tell Yaakov? What will you tell Yaakov about Yosef? Where is Yosef? Where is Yosef ben Yaakov? Now, they were stunned. They didn't expect this. And Yosef continues to shock them and says, I have Yosef. I have your missing brother. They're frozen now. They're in shock. And he says, come out, Yosef ben Yaakov. Now they're looking around, looking to see, and all of a sudden Yosef reveals himself. I say, how did he reveal himself? He asked him to come closer. And he says, I'm your brother, don't worry, this was all for the best. Hashem had this plan so that I can come here and set things up for the family, and set things up for Am Yisrael. But still, the Midrash says that they didn't recognize him because of his beard. However, Rashi says over there that how did he reveal himself to them? He showed them the Brit Milah. I'm one of you. And once he reveals himself, they begin to cry, they bond, they feast, they bring Yaakov back to Mitzrayim. Ruach HaKodesh comes back to Yaakov. He said, Vayechi Yaakov. What's Vayechi? How did he become alive? The Ruach HaKodesh came back to him. And it seems like the story has a happy ending. But keep in mind, there's some unfinished business with Yaakov and Yehudah. Because this entire time, Yaakov says that Chaya Ra'ah, that's Yehudah. Now that he sees that Yosef is alive and it was all God's handiwork, he gives instruction out of all the children to Yehudah. He comes to Yehudah and he says, if we're going to live in Mitzrayim, go to the section in Mitzrayim that was given to us, which was called Goshen. Go to Goshen and build a yeshiva over there. Actually, the word that's used over there, Goshna. It's time to go Goshna. What's Goshna? It says Goshen is the name of the place, but they put a hey in the end. It says go put hey in Goshen. Go put Hashem in Goshen. Go put a yeshiva in Goshen. Because before any Jew moves anywhere, he needs to know that wherever he's going to live, he needs a shul, he needs a school for the kids, he needs a kosher supermarket, he needs his Jewish surroundings. And Yaakov says, I'm not moving all the way over there if we don't have what we need for ourselves and for our families and a place of Torah. And who does he instruct to do that? Yehudah. Big life lesson. Big life lesson. If you're switching apartments, if you're moving to a different neighborhood, if you're moving to a different house, if you're moving a different state, first thing you Google, synagogue. Second thing, kids' school. Third thing, kosher restaurants and kosher supermarkets. That's how you move. You don't go because you got a great deal on a 3-bedroom 50 miles away from a shul.
Why do you think we set up this class?
There you go. So you could be in this area. But even though that Yaakov sent Yehudah to Goshen, to Goshna, the question is now, our main character of today's lesson, why Yehudah? Why Yehudah? Well, throughout the story, we can pick up some amazing qualities of Yehudah. One, he proved that he has incredible kibud avvaim. Incredible respect for his father. Throughout the entire time, while his father is blaming him and telling him, this is happening to you because of Yosef, he kept a secret about Yosef. He didn't say a word. He didn't embarrass his father. He didn't answer back to his father. He swallowed his pride. He swallowed his words and was able to perform kibud av va'em through all those suspicions, through all those claims. He was willing to give up his life in this world and in the next for his two dads, for his two fathers, his biological father Yaakov, and for his Abba Sheba Shamayim, God himself. Yehudah put himself on the line for his father, for his brothers, in order to do Kibud Avayim and in order to keep Am Yisrael going. When he stood in front of Yosef, ready to go to war against all of Egypt, so for his family, he didn't know that was Yosef. That is a great character trait. That's some, what's the word that I'm looking for? It's some, not guts, but it's a certain quality to know that you're fearless. That's the word.
Courage.
That courage and fearlessness that he had in that moment. He also had arvut. They say, Kol Am Yisrael arev zeh lezeh. He was willing to get involved for his brother's troubles. In other words, Binyamin got in trouble, Shimon got in trouble. We have the story now with the entire family. Now his father, he was able to. He decided. He took the responsibility to figure things out for his family. He had arvut on his family. He also made proper teshuvah. He was very connected spiritually to what's the right thing to do. He made teshuvah. Yehudah merited to be, that the kingdom of Israel will come from him. He also merited that every single Jew will be called a Yehudi. How come we're not called after Shimon, Shimoni? How come we're not all Levites? How come we're not all Reuveni, Issachari? How come the one name that stuck to the Jewish people is Yehudi? How come Yehudah is connected to Yehudi? Because Yaakov, the answer is that Yaakov, through Yehudah, showed us the character of a Jew and the importance and merit of several things. A Yehudi has to be like Yehudah. A Jew, if he wants to see his template of how you need to be, look at Yehudah. That's why you call the Yehudi. Because he had incredible kibud av va'em. He had incredible levels of home education and yeshiva education. He was the one that was sent out to Goshen, go start the yeshiva. And he's the one that his learning with his father helped him out in his life. He had self-sacrifice. He was arev zelazeh. He worried about his fellow brothers. He was strong, incredibly strong. He took responsibility. He took charge. He was able to take action. He was a Torah learner and a Torah supporter. And not only that, Yehudah was very connected to the future of Am Yisrael. And with this I'll end. It's also very connected to Chanukah, also connected to Zot Chanukah, and also connected to the secret of Chanukah. Yehudah was appointed by Yaakov to go to Goshna, to set up a yeshiva. Why? If you take the word Goshna, it's Gimel, Shin, Nun, Hey, which is also the exact same letters that are on the dreidel. Nes Gadol Haya Sham. Goshna and Nes Gadol Haya Sham are the same letters. And we learned in this class and in previous classes that Nes Gadol Haya Sham is the numerical value, has the same gematria as the word Mashiach. Yehudah was setting up Mashiach in Goshna. He was setting up the kids, the Torah, that will need to withstand generations and generations and generations, and later on Mashiach will come only in the merit of the Torah, in the merit of children. So we see that Yehudah was a very unique and specific, unique link in Jewish history, and the mold to what 90% of what the Jews should be. I'm sure there's Kohanim, there's Levim, and there's all different types. But you know, what are we called? We're called Yehudim. How does the Yehudi act? Look at Yehudah. He had all the characters that were needed. Bezat Hashem, שנזכה להיות יהודים אמיתיים. Bezat Hashem, we will get to merit that Goshna will turn into Nes Gadol Hayasham, and we'll see Mashiach bimhera b'yamenu amen. And Bezat Hashem, that this class will be to the Refuah Shelema of all that are sick, to the Zivugim, to all that need it, and it should be for the Se'ata Deshmaya, for all that are far from Avodat Hashem, to get closer to Avodat Hashem. And Be'ezat Hashem, the merit of this class will be to Zot Chanukah, to bring all the lowly souls in Am Yisrael and lift them up to Baalei Tshuva, and may their prayers be answered like big tzaddikim. Amen. Can you get it so?